Hello, Josie.
Hi, how are you, Sandra?
I'm doing very well. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm good. It's all good. It's Friday, a little gloomy out here, but here in Toronto, but it's good.
Is it cold there? Like, what's the temperature?
And no, it's not. It's kind of mild, so it's above zero.
Mhm.
But it's good. It's a little bit wet snow,
Mm,
and then it stopped, so it's a little damp out there. But it's spring.
it's spring. Okay, so it has arrived.
Yeah.
Here in Iceland, we don't have spring yet, and I think we will not have it for quite some time yet. But well, it is what it is. At least the day is much longer than it used to be. Now every day we're gaining minutes until it comes to the point where we have only day 24 hours.
It's beautiful. I love that.
Yeah.
It's our hours change too, and I love how the days are longer. It's so much nicer for sure. It changes the mood and everything. So I love this time of year.
Yeah, I agree. It's like everything is blooming, so do we.
Yeah, that's right.
So, Josie, thank you so much for being my guest speaker today. I'm happy to have you here. So, maybe just to start with a short introduction of who is Josie.
Yeah, sure. Josie, I'm a wife, mother. I'm in property management, and I've been doing property management for 20 years now. So that's what I do. That's what I know, and yeah, pretty much that's me.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how did you get into property management? Right.
I actually was working at a bank,
Mm-hmm.
and I was serving a client, and the client had an issue with some statements and so forth, and I helped him, and then we began communicating, frequently. And there was a position available in leasing at one point. It was about a few months down the line. Asked if I was interested, and yeah, and that I did. I moved on to going into property management.
Mm. All
Yeah,
right. So
yeah,
through referral, basically, in a way,
yeah.
right? It's
In a way, yeah. Networking,
networking. Yeah.
networking was just being at the right place at the right time, speaking with people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Getting to know people. So yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So property management, I can imagine it's a quite of a demanding job, right? Like it has a lot of components to it. So I'm just curious in terms of maybe, work-life balance and roles that you have in your life of being a wife, a mother, in property management. How would you say maybe that you cope with all these different roles, really?
It is quite challenging, and you're right, it's very demanding. And having a family, meaning husband and children, and at the time, I had young children. It was very, very challenging to have the work-life balance.
Mm-hmm.
I think what helped me through was myself wanting to learn about the business, and having that ambition and passion, and wanting to grow within the industry,
Mm-hmm.
um, helped. It helped in a sense because that's what you felt that was inside you to do, right? Like this is what it was, your passion, right?
Mm-hmm.
And learning about the industry. I mean, it wasn't all like, always great,
Yeah.
but there were a lot of challenges, but you do have to try to center yourself. I've learned that, sometimes when things are going, there's so much going on, it's overwhelming. It's more so to take a deep breath,
Mm-hmm.
and know that it's temporary what you're going through. So whatever task that you have, just take the most important one,
Mm-hmm.
and start working with that is more of an emergency and urgency, and then you can make yourself a list and deal with the issues along the way, right?
Mm-hmm.
uh, but it is really important to take a step back. It also is that when you finish something, you got to find that place within yourself to, if you have to walk away, right? Even times with dealing with just people, and you have to put out some fires, and there are maybe some difficult situations. You need to take that moment to figure out how you're going to deal with it. And it's okay to like shut the door, maybe walk away, out of the office and gather your thoughts and not react to it right away, whether, it's to pick up the phone and call the person that you need to speak with, or if it's you have to have this face-to-face interaction with somebody. It's your time when you're ready. Even if it just takes an additional hour to get back to the person, or another day to get back to the person, so you can gather your thoughts, is really, really important. Yeah, I mean, it is very demanding. It's either you're going to love it or you're not. You know if it's for you. And I guess being in the industry for so long, for 20 years, even though how challenging it could be, and you can get really frustrated, I realize it is for me, right? I guess I do like the adrenaline rush, right? Like when you know that you like it once things get resolved, and you're like, yeah, this is what I like. It's because I resolved it, right? So yeah, it's always different. It's never the same. You're always dealing with different situations, and I'm also a people person too, right? So I like being with I like being with people. I like interacting with people. It's important to me to interact with people, and I like leading a team, and even learning from them as well, right? Because your team has a lot to offer you, and yeah, there's so many different components, like you said. And I think that's why I really liked it, and I stayed in the industry for so long, is because there's so much to learn.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, it's definitely what I heard you mentioning, a very dynamic, very challenging role. It's always different.
Yeah.
People have different needs, different wants, and it's a big decision at the end of the day also that people are making, right? It's
Right.
not just a small thing you're thinking to buy, or right, it's a big thing. So Josie, I heard you mentioning a very very interesting thing, and this is the difference between reacting and responding, right? And really staying calm in those situations, especially when we feel the most overwhelmed, right? So I'm just curious there, like, would you say that this was something that you always were able to, kind of keep calm and take time to respond? Or is this something that you learned with the time?
Definitely learned.
Definitely. It's a firm definitely.
Definitely learned. Yes, I am the type. I guess, European, my family, Italian. So we are very emotionally invested when we do things. So we can take things, personal. But I guess because I started in banking in my career when I was young, I learned customer service. And it was the customer always being right. And from there, I learned a foundation of treating people with respect and listening to them and providing them service. So I think that was a really good foundation, so that when I got into property management, it was just something that I had already learned being in banking, that, you listen, you try to help people. And like I said, it just built that foundation. It was very different in a sense that, because you are dealing with people's homes, and we're constantly there, that you had to understand, and it's very important to understand. And this is what I tell, my team, when it comes to like property administrators and superintendents, and leasing agents. I tell them, when you're dealing with something that can be difficult, and maybe challenging, because you have the person who lives in their home, you have to understand that this is their home, and you have to put yourselves in their shoes. How would you feel if this is going on? And I always tell them, like, if you're overwhelmed and there's certain things going on and you need to deal with this tenant, then, you go into a separate room. It's important, the environment that you're in when you're dealing with something that is happening with somebody who's upset. You want to take them away from where you are, what environment it is, and bringing it into a calming setting, right? A calm setting. And just listen to what they have to say. You don't have to have an answer right then and there, right? You just listen, you make notes, and things will just unravel, right? And you'll find a solution. There's always a solution to most of any issue, right? Some take more time than others, but I found that, when you're calm, don't react to them. You don't lose control of the situation, and make sure you communicate and with the person, as to whatever issue it is, and you'll end up resolving it. People just want to be heard, right? And they want to be in the loop, and they want to know what's going on, and they need to build that trust with them. And yeah, no, it does take, some people don't have the knack, for it. It takes a little bit more time, but if you can, like, what I learned was, you just don't take it personal. You just have to understand what they're going through and what the situation's all about. Once they release their anger or how they're venting, they'll calm down once they realize that you're calm. If you're calm, it just spreads the calmness in the room, right? Or in the situation, right? And you have to build trust with them, right? It's important to build trust, right? So
the foundation for any solid relationship, at work, at home, wherever, right? If you don't have this trust, and if people don't feel that you are there genuinely to help them and genuinely to find the solution to move forward, right? So, like, we're in this together, right? It's
that's right. And body language too will be, you can really tell if someone is invested in you or not, and if you care or not. So that's why it's so important that when you're dealing with an issue that needs resolution, or you have someone in front of you who is not happy, you need to move yourself away and give them all the attention, right? Like, it's the littlest things. Don't look at your phone, don't look at your computer, don't look at the person that's walking by in the hallway. Like, they're upset, you need to invest in them and listen to them, right? And it's a good starting point in order to get to the step of resolving the issues.
And how do you, like, apply the same thing basically to your team, right? So this is when talking to the customers, of course, right, client and so, but what about in your team? Is it anything different, or how do you approach it?
The same way. Sometimes, it doesn't happen that way, because you're not, like, I wouldn't, for example, I wouldn't be there, right? They're there and they've dealt with a person, and it comes in, it's escalated to you, let's just say, for example, like, to the superior, right? So once you have to de-escalate the situation, and if it didn't go well, you need to have that coaching session with your team if it didn't go well, right? And it's really important not to ignore that, and explain it to them. So so basically, the way I feel, it's more constant coaching. Whenever there is a situation, you're learning from the situation. It's constant. You just don't talk about it once. You have to keep talking about it, or when you know that something has happened, or something is going to happen, or if there is a situation, talk about it in advance and remind them, hey, this might be very tricky. So you want to approach it this way. So it's just constant. It's communicating with your team constantly, and having an open door policy that, letting them know that you're there if they're going to walk into something that they think that might be, a little bit sensitive, that you're there as, supervisor or leader or manager, that they can come to you for advice before they go forward with something, right?
Yeah. And what I find also, especially when it comes to, team or in general, right? It's also very important to kind of draw the line in terms of not making them dependent on you, right? Because that's ultimately what coaching is about. You want to make people independent, like interdependent, but at the same time independent from a point of view that they come to you with a solution, so that you can see that they have been proactive rather than, hey, what should I do? How should I do? Right? You don't want to make them, right? It's
Absolutely. Yes, that is very true. So yes, you have to have that balance. So if you do find somebody that is constantly coming to you for every little thing, and I've had those situations where, at one point you do have to say, okay, well, what would you do in this situation? Right. So yes, I agree with you, Sandra. It's you have to make them think on their own as well. And they have to go through the growing pains too, right? So they have to make those mistakes. I've made mistakes as well, right? So it's okay to make the mistakes. It's fine as long as you learn from them. That's the key thing, right? So yeah, I agree.
Yeah, exactly. Learn and use those learnings, right? And also I like what you said, right? When they kind of maybe come to you with what should I do, you ask a question back. And this is again the power of asking questions, which is again coaching, right? At the end of the day, it's asking questions so that they come up with their own solution, because that's really learning, right? If you just send it to them, it's like, okay, great, but we need to use our mind, right? Our imagination, creativity. All right. Amazing. That's very interesting. So not only a dynamic situations with your clients, but also within the team, right? It's how big is your team, Josie?
So so currently I have 6 direct reports, and there are just a little over 70 indirect reports. So it's a big team. So property managers, leasing agents, administrators, superintendents. It's big.
Yeah, it's big. And it's, of course, higher we go in our levels, bigger responsibility. Because what I see oftentimes people forget, like, let's say I have 2 direct reports. Yes, you have 2 direct reports, but also those 2 direct reports have their lives, have their families, have their concerns, have their challenges, have their whole world, right? And that's a big to lead and manage. It's a big
keeps me busy, so it's all good.
Busy. So Josie, now, like, given this and everything that you shared, like, when you do go back in time, or if you could go back in time, what would be maybe some advice or some learning or anything at all that you wish you knew before that would maybe help you to go maybe quicker or easier through your career and life? Anything at all that comes to your mind?
Be patient with yourself and enjoy the growing pains, and not be so fast to think that you need to have it all figured out. It takes time, and experience is so important, and enjoy when you're going through those growing pains, because at the end of the line, it'll just lead to experience. I wish I was a little bit more patient with myself. Yes.
Yeah, patience. That's a huge thing for all of us, and it's something to continuously learn, right? We are so impatient. We are constantly running from one thing to another. Then you reach the other. Then what about the other? So like, whoa, but it's hard to slow down, isn't it?
It is very hard to slow down. It's easier said than done. I still have to tell that to myself today, right? I still don't have it all together, but I think the experience that I have, and it stems from all the ups and downs, right? So but if I was I wish I was just more patient. Things will come, and you don't need to know everything all at once, right? Take it one moment at a time and one day at a time.
Yeah. And exactly. And also, right, what you said, like, embrace these growing pains. It's normal. We all have to go through this. This is what makes you better. This is what makes you stronger. This is what makes you grow. The life isn't linear, right? It's not always, no.
It'd be boring. It would be boring, right? So
exactly. Those challenging moments come to wake us up, and like, whoa, let's think about solutions now, right?
That's right. It gives you a little bit of a drive, but yeah,
Yes.
so keeps it interesting for sure. That's
Exactly,
right.
exactly. No, these are amazing, really advices, very, very important ones. And I think, again, this emphasis on patience, right? Something to continuously keep reminding. What I like to ask myself sometimes, because I'm also very, impatient, and it's still work in progress and it will be forever. But I like to ask myself, like, where am I rushing to? Because that's
I know. It's so true.
right?
It's so true. I agree. It's yeah.
And
Yeah.
of course I cannot answer that question. So it's like, okay, let's relax a bit, let's
Yeah.
take it easy.
Enjoy the journey, right? And I think I've said this to myself. It's not a race. It's a journey. Life is not a race.
Yeah,
Life's a journey, right? So yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Constant reminder, definitely.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
Definitely. Josie, I know you're busy. I know it's still half a day to go, or even more than half a day for you to go. So maybe before we wrap it up, what is something that at this point maybe you would like to ask from the group, or something that you can offer to the group on top of your mind?
I think to ask from the group is how they deal with their challenges, and I'd like to learn about how they work-life balance.
Mhm.
I think that's very important, and I'd like to hear of how they juggle things. I think it's important that we all share what everyone else is doing, because now, especially the times that we're in with COVID, if you're working from home and you try to separate certain things, I mean, I know that I've you have to try to work within the means of your hours that you're working, and then you have to remember, you do have your family at home, and so forth, right? And I think would all help each other in the group of different tips and things that they all do, because yes, we might be getting out of it, but we don't know whether or not COVID's going to go away. And I think that would be nice to hear, just a bit of a share as to what's everybody doing to keeping themselves sane and still working, and family life, and so forth. Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, that definitely is a challenge. A great question, definitely. And I encourage all the members who have seen this movie video
Yeah.
to
Yes.
put down their comments, right? Any tips for better work-life balance, for actually even also setting these boundaries, right? Like, now it's work time, now it's not work time, and now it's really not work time, right? It's
Right.
it's easy to go. And anything that you can offer to the group at this point that comes to your mind?
Um, yeah, patience, I guess that's what it was all about, right? Be patient with yourself, and take it one day at a time, especially during these times that we've all experienced, with the pandemic.
Mhm.
uh, Time is precious, and be patient with yourself, and you have to enjoy every minute.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. Beautiful
Yeah.
message. Beautiful
Yeah.
message.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Well, then I will, if it's okay with you, I will put the link to your profile on LinkedIn so that people can connect with you. The members can connect with you. Maybe find some even accountability partners here for better work-life balance, right? You never know.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, true.
Yeah. So
Great.
yeah, once again, thank you so much for your time. It was really nice talking to you, and we speak soon again.
Yes, Sandra, thank you. It was definitely a pleasure. A pleasure. Thank you very much. It was nice speaking with you, and thank you for your time.
Of course, with pleasure.
Thank you.
Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.